Still alive, the very kind $5. Here's a small clip of the Taliban riding bumper cars at a theme park they took over. Do we have any Muslims in chat? Is there anything again? Is this allowed? Because I feel like I've never seen a bunch of Orthodox Jews do this. This can't be allowed, right? Is this haram? All right, I don't know. There's something so strange about the modern world and the fact that, like, monumental historical events are all filtered through this incredibly weird postmodern absurdity that we have to deal with. You know what I mean? It's the same with the alt-right today, you know? Where on one hand, like, the alt-right are like a super legitimate threat in the sense that they represent the rising tide of ethno-nationalism, and on the other hand, they're fucking idiot children, babies who project their insecurity like a with the brightness of a lantern onto every conversation that they hold. That's not to say they're weak and strong at the same time. They're always a threat. It's just, it's so dumb. And here's the Taliban. I mean, these people are insane, hyper-religious, medieval insurgents, and we're having a little bumper car ride. Look at them. They're having so much fun. Something that I like to think about is that stuff like this probably also would have been really evident if the Nazi Party had existed today, right? Like, we know through historical accounts what the Nazis were actually like. Through some people say, and because we always make them out to be like this big monolithic evil, but in reality, they were evil, but also like really dumb. They weren't super efficient. They weren't incredibly disciplined. We make them out that way because those are qualities associated with ultra-powerful machines, something we tend to characterize Nazis as because it makes them good villains. But unfortunately, that also kind of makes them look cool, which is why in so much media, people have this, like, anti-hero badass respect for Nazis. Why people are like, oh, well, their uniforms are cool, or, oh, well, at least their machines of war were badass. In reality, the uniforms and the machines of war were pretty cool all around in World War II, if you're into that sort of thing, but people hyperfixate on the Nazi Party because they project this aura of efficiency and discipline, cold iron totalitarianism. In reality, if you look at history, actually, the Nazi Party was comedically inefficient. It was inefficient, it was drug-ridden, it was insane, it was poorly managed on an economic and military scale. People were miserable. There were deficiencies and shortages and everything. But we never talk about that because that detracts from the idea that they were some kind of ultra-efficient, cold, calculating, monstrous force. Which, again, they were monstrous. It's just they weren't monstrous because they were that good at being monstrous, you know? And here we have this. They took over Afghanistan in like 5 days. And bumper car ride. But I bet you if the Nazi Party existed today, we would be seeing a lot of that. Wait, really, drug-ridden, Vaush? I love making fun of Nazis, but can you clarify? Dude, the entire upper echelon of the Nazi Party was high all the time on opiates. Didn't they literally give, like, meth out, like, to soldiers, too? It was opiates and meth, wasn't it? Or was it just meth? My mistaking with the opiate, yeah. I mean, they gave them out everywhere. There was like candy in Nazi Germany. You could just literally just throw it all around the place. The Nazis were coked up, half because they were crazy and half because it made it easier to send their soldiers off to die. Whatever the case may be. If Nazi Germany was around today, we'd probably be seeing a lot more shit like this, you know? Like a lot of really weird demonstrations of their sort of facile immaturity, you know? Does that make any sense? This is one of the reasons why I really like Jojo Rabbit, because it accurately portrays. I actually think that Jojo Rabbit, if spiritually, if not technically, was actually a more accurate presentation of Nazi Germany than a lot of other more technically accurate historical pieces. Because in satirizing the Nazis, they achieve what so many other stories haven't, making it really obvious how silly they were. Because they're silly. Isn't the alt-right silly? I'm not saying they're not dangerous. They are, and they're bad. I'm not saying they're not bad. I'm not taking away from any of that. But isn't it, like, silly that, like, some of the biggest alt-right havens online are right next to, like, archives of interracial pornography and cuckold porn? They project their insecurities so readily, you know? Isn't it silly that they talk constantly about, like, phrenology and, physiognomy and all that stuff? But then if you, like, look at alt-right rallies, they're all, like, fat, balding, like stoop-shouldered, like miserable, socially inadequate people who are looking for like some sort of common cause. Not to say there's anything wrong, by the way, if you're fat or stoop-shouldered or anything. Just for people who obsess over that sort of stuff, it's just really funny. That's how, that's they're social rejects. They appeal to people who feel alienated and who feel weakened and emasculated. And usually, people who are successful in their lives are going to be way harder to pull into that. I mean, who's more likely to fall to alt-right propaganda, Some skinny 19-year-old virgin nerd who, like, didn't attend half their classes in their senior year of high school and who everyone thought was going to shoot up the school? Or, like, a successful middle-aged businessman in a city, you know? Just, I mean, it's possible it could happen to anyone, but statistically, people who are more socially vulnerable are easier to appeal to. And by the way, this does apply to the left as well, to an extent. Usually, radical political change is advocated for by people who feel underserved by the system. The difference is the left care about the weak and the people with weird skull shapes, whereas the right, despite being made up of those people, hate them, The difference is the hypocrisy. The left is, like, I don't think no one real on the left, I mean, no real leftist, would go like, yeah, it's bad that our movement is largely made up of marginalized people. Doesn't that mean the right hates itself? Oh my god, yes. Have you gone onto any Nazi forum, like Poll or whatever? They despise themselves. These people are all like one bad day away from shooting themselves, okay? They fucking hate themselves. Yeah, they despise themselves, okay? That's one of the big unifying elements of white nationalism. You transcend your personal worthlessness and you get to attach yourself to some broader identity, And this is why I am such a big fan of individualism. And I mean that in the most sincere way. While I do believe in stuff like collective ownership of the means of production, all of those broader economic and social policies serve my fundamental belief. And my fundamental belief is that the individual should be strong and autonomous, that they should be able to live their life however they please as long as they're not hurting other people, That I do not like people consigning themselves to broader identities, whether that's the family, their sex, their race, their nation, whatever, that ultimately they're themselves, they get one life, and they should have the opportunity to do what they can with it, as long as they're not hurting other people, But other people don't agree with that. Like in my debate with Charlie Kirk, He doesn't believe in individualism, which is funny because we're always the ones getting called collectivists, and he was the one saying that education's purpose is to make you grateful to the nation. But when you look at that, like, he's the one saying, like, come, ye weak and insecure, if you're worthless, it doesn't matter. Make yourselves an avatar of the state. And I'm the one saying that we should work on individual self-betterment, that we should work towards collective action only insofar as it allows us to achieve better individual circumstances. That's the big difference, because there is a massive gulf between promoting collective action to secure individual freedom and promoting collective action to secure collective power. There are very big differences between those things. Huge, overwhelming, massive differences, It's the difference between a white nationalist willing to sign away their freedoms to the government if it keeps immigrants out, and a union worker willing to fight side by side with their peers if it means being able to secure a better work week, better hours, better wages, better rights for themselves. You dig? I think if we can summarize it, the gist of it would be that it's hypocritical for the alt-right to ride bumper cars, but it's cool when we do it. Yeah, sure. Let's just, whatever.